I'm Daniel Mayer, native of St. Joseph, Missouri. Lived here my whole life. Been fishing the river probably 10, 12 years now. So,
What age did you get started catfishing? When did you
first,
when did you find out that this was something that you really loved to do?
so in the middle of town there's a pond, Corby Pond. Everybody and their mom fishes it. And I don't know how old I was, 8, 9, 10, something like that. And I would ride to the pond on my bike and get a little pole, worm bobber. And I saw a shadow under the water. It was a sunny day. Threw out, and right in front of this fish, I didn't know what it was. Bit the line, caught the fish, and I couldn't have been more excited. Little catfish, about that big. I ran around the pond, so excited, talking to everybody about this fish. I knew right then and there, that's what got me excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, 44 years old, born and raised in St. Joe. So, lived in basically the middle of the city, and anytime, as a kid that I could ride the bike to the river, ride the bike to a pond, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, growing up, getting into high school, finally get a car, drive to this pond, that pond, whatever. It didn't matter. I had a fishing pole in the back of my Saturn. First car that I bought, that I owned. First boat I bought was a fiberglass 4 Winds. It was affordable and cheap, and I was going to make that my fishing boat. Well, that's not a fishing boat. Quickly got a different boat. That one was a Triton, a 17-foot Triton bass boat, still fiberglass. I realized quickly that's not my fishing boat either. So sold it and bought an aluminum bass tracker, 17 foot, 40 horse, and I lived on this river in that for the year that I owned it. First time really fishing the river. Summer, spring, winter, fall, didn't matter. I was out here fishing. That bass tracker is the first catfish boat that I had. Actually, Dad about threw me out of it on Dillon Creek up here, catching bait. I was throwing the net and he was manning the motor. He slammed. It's tight quarters up in Dillon Creek, right? So I'm like, hey, reverse. He absolutely slammed it down. I jump, hit the floor, spread out, so I don't fall in the river. The first St. Joe tournament I ever fished here was with my brother, and we ended up with big fish in second place. So, and that was it. I set the stage.
Now, how did it progress from 2011 to like the equipment, gear, tactics that you were using and seeing to target these fish? How did that kind of change leading up to kind of where we are today?
Well, took a few years. You fish small lakes, you'll catch a 5, 10 pounder. Your Zebco 33s can handle those fish. Once I started fishing the river and I saw my first real bite, I quickly realized I gotta have a different reel, gotta have a different pole, gotta have a different rod holder. Everything has to change. The power that these river fish have if you haven't seen it, that's what hooks you. That rod slamming down and line just peeling out like nothing's there to stop it. That's when you realize, okay, I need some heavy gear here. And I've stripped out a few gears and some cheap reels, but there were moments like that I realized I need to upgrade. So I'd get rid of a whole slew of reels and rods, and I'd buy a whole new set. I don't know, it's been a few years to get up to this point, but I feel comfortable now with the equipment that I have. So, including Big Cat Fever rods. So, sold that boat because I found, a deal I couldn't refuse. A guy out of Illinois. So I drove 6 hours, went and picked this up. He was a crappie fisherman with a Sea Arc. That didn't work out for him. It worked out for me. I bought the boat undervalued, so that was a good thing for me. So bought that boat. That was the first Sea Arc. Bought it, blew the engine up, immediately had to put a brand new engine on it. So that was tough. But anyway, fished out of it for a couple of years, then upgraded to my current boat.
What is that?
That's the Pro Cat 200. It's a 2015 model. And it's been an awesome boat. Caught a lot of fish out of it.
Leading up to the state record day.
All right.
Walk us through it.
The reason I went fishing that day is for pre-fishing for a tournament the next weekend. And get up, go out to we call it the boathouse. Just had a shop built. Anyway, it's a shop bigger than the house. The wife likes to call it a boat shop, so it's a boat shop. And I noticed one of my tires is severely worn on one side. And so bad that I almost didn't go fishing. I knew there was a problem with the axle or the tire itself or something, and I didn't know what it was. So I threw the spare on and him-hawed about what to do, decided I'm gonna chance it, go fishing, fix it later. Like any good fisherman would do, right? So drove down to La Bennett State Park, put my boat in there. I fished that area for 4 or 5 years in tournaments, done very well down there. Worked my way upriver, struggled for the first half of the day, had frozen bait, barely even had a bite. Decided I got to get some different bait. So got the net out, started throwing the net, wanted something fresh. Ended up catching a carp and cut him up, got my fresh cut bait now. So I go back out, hit the river, started catching fish, which got me excited. Once you catch fish, it's hard to go back in. That's when you call the wife and say, it might be a little longer. I know I said 7, it might be 8 or 9. So, the area upriver where I ended up catching her has been a solid area for a while. I wanted to go see if there's fish up there. So, made the trek farther upriver. And it didn't take long. Start bumping and hook into that fish about 9:30. Knew she was big, knew she was the biggest fish that I'd hooked all day or that bit all day. Did not realize just how big she was until, because she kind of went out to the river, so she wasn't going away from me. I couldn't really feel how heavy she was. But I knew any fish that goes out in the river like that has got some size. So start fighting her. Off in the distance, I see a tail slap, and I'm like, it's a little bigger fish than I'm thinking. Fight her. She gets close to the boat and dives straight down. And that's when I realized this is a really big fish. It was hard to gauge because, a lot of fish will end up going just downriver, and then, you get to feel everything. She went sideways. So the initial bite, I could tell she was big, but that's a 30, 40 pounder maybe. So going out in sideways from me, you can't gauge. It's hard to gauge. I've been fooled before, so I didn't want to get too excited. But after a few minutes of fighting her, she gets the top tail slap. There's certain tail slaps that are better than others. That was a good one. She dove back down a little bit, got under the surface, got close to the boat, and I'm trying to see her, and then she dives straight down to the bottom. That's when I knew this is a big fish, a real big fish. So, fought her. She finally came up, and I get to see her, and in my mind, I'm thinking this is a 80 plus. And while you're floating, you're worried about everything else in the river, and you don't want to run into the shore, a barge, a pillar, another boat. I mean, all these thoughts go through your mind, and I'm by myself. So I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, just get her in a boat, like get situated, get her in a boat. So in my haste, I didn't realize how big she was. I got her in the net, and I go to pick her up, and I didn't have my footing. I lift up, and I went forward and about fell in the river, like the closest I've ever come to falling in the river. So then I'm like, oh, I regained myself, and I looked down at her, and I'm like, did the net get caught? Like, why can't I get her in the boat? So then I regroup, and I go to lift her, and I realize this is a giant fish. Get her in the boat and take a second to just realize what's going on. This is a true giant. And rewind 3 weeks before, I was fishing with a buddy who caught a 99 pounder. And at the time he had a back injury, I had to lift that fish. So I knew what a 99 pound fish felt like. And I did not struggle with that fish. I struggled with her. So I'm like, she's well over 100.
So when did you get the call that Danny potentially landed this monster fish? How did that all play out?
He called me. He said he was going to do just one more spot, and then it's always one more spot when you get a call. I'm going to go one more spot, and then I'm going to head home. I was like, okay. And then he called me, and he goes, babe, I think I caught a monster, the biggest fish of my life. I think I almost went over. I'll call you back. I got to figure out how to get this fish in the boat. I'll call you back. A couple hours later, he called me back, and then we talked about how big it is and how he didn't have a scale big enough, and the logistics. He had talked to his friend Brian about the conservation people and how he could get it weighed, and he thought he had certified scale people that the scales weren't certified, and I was like, you've had how many years of preparing for this and you don't have certified scales? And he goes, I was prepared. I said, no, you weren't.
I'm looking at her, and I still can't appreciate just how big she is yet. But then I start worrying about where the boat's floating and all this stuff. So that's when I grabbed the net, got her in the net, go to pick her up. The weight, I didn't realize I wasn't ready. So that's when I about fell in the river, regained myself, got her up over the side of the boat, barely. I struggled. And that's when all these thoughts start going through, like, I just lifted a 99 pound fish and did not struggle like this. Like, how big is this fish? Like, this is a special fish. So I did what I always do with a trophy-sized fish that you want to keep alive. Did not try to take a picture, did not try to get a weight. Very first thing is put her in the live well. Turn the pumps on, and I got a bucket, fresh water in, fill that live well up as fast as possible, because when you catch a trophy fish, you just put them through the fight of their life. However long that took to get her in the boat, she fought for her life the entire time. And now you take her out of the water, she can't breathe. First thing you do, every time, every tournament, doesn't matter, you put them in the live well and you get fresh water on them. So that's I went into that mode. And I knew I wasn't going to try to get a weight or a picture of her until 30, 40 minutes, an hour, however long I felt like it, it needed. So I do that. I get the boat in a calm area of the river and just wait. Anybody that has gone through that, caught a big fish, gets them in the boat, they change colors. They get mottled, they turn white. That's not good. So you want their color to come back, you want them to have energy back. So you got to give them time, 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. And I gave her longer than I would normally give any trophy-sized fish because she needed it. Where I caught her was, I wasn't sure where the state line was at. So I had to make a couple phone calls to verify where the state line was at. Once I was confident that I was in Kansas and realized this is it. This is the moment that I have been waiting for, that I've been fishing for, The reason I have this hat, the reason I have only big cat fever rods, this is a state record. Like it took me, you're in the moment, it takes a minute to have everything set in. I called one of my friends that works for Missouri Department of Conservation to bounce ideas, bounce off, what's the logistics of what I need to do. He ended up calling a couple of his coworkers. We all got on the phone together, 4-way phone call, and we're just talking it all out. Now, granted, that's Missouri, not Kansas. I made phone calls to everybody any number I could get a hold of from Kansas, left messages, kind of let people know what's going on, but it's 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. People are asleep, they're not in the office. So just trying to figure out the logistics of everything became kind of daunting. But realizing all the steps involved became an eye-opener for me. Like you think about it, I've thought about it for years. I did not really know all the little intricate details that would be involved. So talking all that through with people on the phone, thinking about what I have to do, call into work, I have to distress my coworkers, one in particular who I owe a steak dinner to, because I abandoned her. Just trying to figure it all out. I still have not weighed the fish, still have not taken it out of the live well, just trying to let her get back to normal. And so the first time I tried to weigh her was roughly 45 minutes, maybe an hour afterward, after I caught her and she'd been in fresh water in the live well, trying to get her energy back. So the way I do it is I put them in my net, I fold the net over so they're cradled, and I've got a digital scale that goes to 110 pounds. And the first time I lifted her up and knew she wasn't touching anything, that scale went to 111 pounds and then shut off. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I restart everything, redo everything. I want to make sure I'm not messing something up. And do it again, same thing. 111, shuts off. And it got there quick. So I'm like, okay, one more time. Just got to do it 3 times just to make sure. Same thing on the 3rd time. And I'm like, get her back in the live well. Like, I still have not taken a picture of this fish. Could not figure out a real weight on her. I just knew she was over 111 pounds. So now I'm making phone calls trying to get a scale to get a good estimate on how big she really is. at this point, time has gone by, but the entire time I focus on, keeping that live well full of water. It's overflowing into the boat. I mean, constantly dumping water on her. Realize I'm gonna have to meet somebody at the boat ramp because, in the morning I'm like, to try to get to a certified scale. No one can bring me a certified scale. Thinking about how to get a fish certified, I knew from tournament directors, I knew of 2 scales that were potential certified scales, and when that fell through, it became a real problem thinking about how to get her weighed, because now I have to take her somewhere. I ended up taking her to Grass Pad. They sell seed and mulch and stuff. And I had to make 10 different phone calls before I got to somebody that said, yes, you can weigh your fish here. So that night I'm thinking, I can't risk leaving her in the live well and driving. It's just too much. So I was on the phone with a buddy talking about bringing a big tank, bringing oxygen, trying to figure out how to make it all work and do it in the best way to try and keep the fish alive. Yes, I did keep her in the live well. Yes, I chose to not immediately release her, but if you think about it, anybody that fishes a tournament, they make that same choice. They make the same decision. You want to get that fish weighed in a tournament, so you put them in the live well. You treat them as best you can to keep them alive, but everybody that doesn't immediately release a fish they accept that risk. Now, I've done this for years and years, and I've kept lots of big fish alive in my live well. I know I have the knowledge and the skills and to do this. So I was very confident that I could keep her alive. I had a plan for the morning for transportation. I had these things lining up to get her weighed alive and released alive. And you go through all this. It is very unfortunate that even though I was doing all these things to try and keep this fish alive, that she ended up dying.
But once we were able to connect and we had a pretty long talk about it, the thing that I was struck by was how torn he was that the fish died. That was a big deal. We talked a lot about that.
So we stayed and talked for quite a while, probably midnight, and then I went to bed, and then he called me back later, a couple hours later when the fish passed, and he was tore up about the fish passing, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's 2 in the morning. And then I went back to sleep.
You're like, somebody's got to get some rest. Yeah.
And then he called me back a couple hours later to bring him stuff at 3:30 in the morning. So then I got up and drove to the river at 3:30 in the morning and got pictures and brought the hat.
And that's when I realized at that point that it wasn't this great celebratory, but that part of it really dampened it.
Well, that's why we're here, because we're going to we're going to educate the people on how even sometimes like the passing of life can be something that it turns into so much more, and how something good can come out of it, and it should be a celebration time, because at the end of the day, that's still a record catch. And I mean, your son caught it.
I wasn't terribly surprised that he finally hooked into a big one like that, because I knew it was coming. All these years I knew it was coming.
Yeah, we're not fisher people, but we're voyeurs. So when he would have a tournament, we'd come down and we'd watch him, and we'd be part of the kind of watching this, and it was just a riot. I never quite understood it, how you could get up at I don't know what hour in the morning and fish in January by yourself on a river. But in listening to the details of all this, it really gave me a more in-depth feel for just exactly how complex this is. It's not just throwing a rod out and catching a fish.
And our son Danny has studied the river. He knows where fish hang out.
He knows their names. He knows their
Support.
yes.
It's always good to have the parents out here to show love.
That's
I know
right.
I'd want mine right there if I were to catch a state record.
It was roughly in 3 hours that she was in my live well. And she never, looking back on it, she never fully got her color back. She started to, and then it just kind of stopped. And, you know, I've got scars on my hands from fish fighting, taking them out of that live well that, you know, they just fight you. She never had that energy back. I haven't got to that part of the story.
First, though,
Oh, I did call you first.
just to say, I caught a big one, the biggest ever. I gotta go.
She was the first trophy fish that I've tried to keep alive, and she ended up dying. It's the first time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
The only other times I've ever tried to keep a trophy fish alive is in a tournament. Otherwise, it's just photo and release. I've been a big proponent of that since day one. I've always let big fish go. You can ask anybody that knows me, anybody that's ever fished with me, anybody that's ever wanted to fish with me. That's the first thing I tell them. If you can come fishing, but if we catch a big one, it's going back. You know, people that aren't in the catfishing world don't understand that a big fish is an old fish. A big fish has the genetics to keep big fish in the river. Not all blues get that big. There's a very small percentage of them that get that big. So I've always catch, photo, release, always CPR. You read all the comments. People that don't know me, they're keyboard warriors. They want to say, they want to judge from behind the computer screen. But if you know me, you would never say that. So through this whole process, it has been very stressful because there's nobody that was more upset that she died than me. I did not want that. I knew I had to get back to the boat ramp from where I was at, so I made the trek, and I stopped 3 different times. I stopped in the middle of the river and overfilled the live well. I'd go a couple miles, stop, overfill the live well. I did absolutely everything I could to try and keep her healthy. But it just was not meant to be. I did end up, I let the Kansas fisheries biologist have her remains, which allowed them to age the fish. They accurately aged her at 23 years old. The oldest known aged blue cat is 25 years old. So that just tells you how old she was. And an old fish, just like any old living thing, they're at the end of their life cycle. There are good things that can come out of a bad situation. There aren't, I don't know how many 120-pound class fish have ever been caught and aged. This is one of them. So now we know, we have accurate information on that. So that's something good that comes out of it. And I've talked to multiple people from different conservation agencies that have said, when you got a fish that big, that old, and they go through that fight, they probably don't live. And it's for all those reasons. People just need to understand that instead of just immediately pass judgment on you only know that the fish died, so they're back there typing away, saying all these things, and it's just that was not my intention, and I want everybody to understand that. So
I'll cut it right there. Yeah. Fish, wildlife showed up. Tell me about that, like wildlife showing up in there. You're getting ready to certify it.
okay, they didn't actually show up until I drove the fish to grass pad. So that was 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere around there that next morning. So the gentleman I talked to at grass pad, he was obviously an outdoorsman, and he was eager to have this happen at his store. So they were very welcoming. Couldn't thank them enough for letting me do that, because I had to make, it was around 10 different phone calls before I got somebody that said yes. But he was there to witness, help get the fish weighed accurately, correctly. He had direction on how to do it. He checked the scale out, took pictures of the certified sticker for the scale, made sure everything was legit. And once I brought the fish in the store, everything else stopped. All the employees, all the people in the store started gathering around to watch. So that was an exciting moment to get a true, honest weight on her, because I had not, get her in the tote that we used, and everybody was just jaws on the floor. They just couldn't believe how big this fish was. And unfortunately, pictures don't do her justice. She was a true giant. So got her weight, got it on the scale, 121.1 pounds.
So how does it feel to know that you're a state record holder?
It's surreal. I still, like, sitting here doing this interview, it still hasn't totally set in. It is surreal.
Tell me about your hat. You mentioned it was your lucky hat.
My lucky hat. I got a shout out to Jeff at J&B here in town. It was somewhere about 5 years ago. I walked into the store and I said, I need a Big Cat. I need a shirt, I need a hat, I need something from Big Cat Fever. And I told him why, because just in case I catch a state record, I gotta have apparel. And he was able to dig up a hat. So this is that hat. So thank you, Jeff. And this hat has been in my truck or on my boat for ever since, so 5 years. Just in case, catch a state record. My hat was in a big tote with all my fishing stuff. It fell out and I did not realize it. So I go fishing that night, or that day, and catch this fish, realize I need my hat. I started looking for it. Tear the truck apart, cannot find my hat. Tear the boat apart, cannot find my hat. And I realized it's in my garage, back at home. And I've kept my wife up all night, basically, calling her all hours of the night. She's been asleep for just 2 or 3 hours at this point. I call her back up. I said, you're gonna kill me, but I need you to look for a hat. She was not happy. She was not happy. She did it. Anyway, she found the hat laying on the garage floor and drove it out to me. So at like 4:30 in the morning, she shows up with that bathroom scale and this hat. So yeah, the only time I did not have my hat with me in the past 5 years is when I actually caught a state record.
But so. You're able to get it so you can get a picture
That's right.
fish with the hat.
That's right.
That's good stuff.
So,
That's good stuff.
yeah.
Tell me, in Indian, like, how'd you hear about Catch the Fever? And sounds like you started out with the Big Cat Fever rods. Tell me about that and your experience using the gear, and your experience with the company.
So, all my experiences with the company has been great. I have, nobody's perfect, no product is perfect. I've had a couple issues in the past. I've contacted the company, and it was seamless. The next day, there was a rod on my front door. And that's just been my experience, the things I've heard about you, the company. They take care of their fishermen. And I use those rods all the time. They get heavy use, and I really had, nothing but great things to say. So I'm sitting here promoting Catch the Fever, promoting these rods, but I've been doing this for the past 5 years. I already made that choice to only use your rods because they're a great rod. They work well, and they're reliable. I fish tournaments with them. I fish fun fish with them. You count on your equipment when you're out there, looking for these big fish, trying to catch these big fish. And when you actually get a hold of one, everything has to come together, And all the parts, all the pieces of that puzzle have to come together in order for that fish to get to the boat. And a rod is one of those main components. So.
That's perfect. That's good. Yeah. That little 1 minute segment right there is just to allow the customer to know, like, hey, we're here for you. We make gear for you. And they're kind of surprised when I show up and we do this, and they're like, we're not going to talk about the product more. It's like, no, we're here to promote you.
Yeah.
We're here to promote you. We're not we don't you chose to use our products. It did something amazing with it. So we're super proud of you. Couldn't be more thrilled that this happened. And this story right here is going to help a lot of people look at conservation, look at your story, and it's going to let them in on a state record story, which doesn't happen very often, and kind of the steps and the trials and the excitement and everything that leads up to it. It's good to kind of capture it all. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.